Hey guys, a very warm welcome to another video. Guys, I'm really excited about today's agenda because I was waiting for a long time to make this video. One of the reason is like this topic is so hot, and the second is our lot of beginner investor need this information, like all the indexing and sector style. So I just I want to start this video first with three questions. If you really looking for answer of these three questions, this video is for you. Otherwise, you can skip this video. So question number one, are you having difficulties picking up the best dividend and growth stocks? That's the number one. Second one is, do you want to understand how to build portfolio in stock market? This third one is, would you like to learn how to diversify your portfolio? So I want to cover up all these three questions because these three are the major questions. And I want to cover, the index style and the sector style, like what ETFs you can buy in the index style and what ETFs you can buy in the sectors. So really excited for today's agenda. Let's get started. All right. So just to give you, my plan for today's video. So first I will be explaining you each and every index, what they are, which ETFs you can buy within that. And then lastly, I prepare an awesome chart for you where I have all the indexes and sector, and then I'll be showing you how much weightage to put in, and then what ETFs you can buy that. So I have an awesome chart prepared for you in the end. But first, it's really important to understand what are these index, what are the sector, what it means by. So, all right, now let's start with S&P 500. All right, guys, let's start with the S&P 500. So first of all, it's very important to understand what is this index is. Just to give you heads up, this is the one of the famous index all over the world. This is the index which is recommended by so many people. One of the important person is Warren Buffett. So this is the most famous index. Like they said, because this index, historically give 10% return over the year. That's why it's famous and it has been recommended by a lot of people. So what is this index is? This index represent 500 largest US companies. So basically, what is the index fund? Index investing is if you want to invest in an individual stock like Apple, so you just can invest $1,000 in Apple. Okay. However, if you put $1,000 in the S&P 500, it will be divided into 500 companies. So that's the beauty of ETF or index style investing, that you don't have to buy 1,000 companies individually. You can just buy a ETF. So that's the S&P 500 top US 500 companies. So what I have done, I have listed two type of ETF. One is a dividend. If you really love the passive income, you can go for that. The second one is if you really like that capital gains, if you really want growth. Okay. Just to give you heads up, in the end of the video, I'll be telling you which ETFs I have in my portfolio. All right, but these all are the great ones. And also one of the thing is the ETFs that are in the USD dollar, I have put the bracket like JP and the WU is in the USD dollar. Okay. So these three are the dividend one and these two are the growth one. So I'm not gonna, go too much information because we have so many sectors to cover, but I'm just showing, like the sides of these one. Like the first one is VFV, S&P 500. Basically, you can buy this ETF like in the Canadian dollar, okay? And you can see, the portfolio. You can click here, like for example, how much company, what's the weightage of it, stuff like that. Like for example, in this ETF, the number one holding is Apple, which contain the 8% of total 500 companies. The second one is WU, very similar, but this is in the USD dollar. So if you are in the, for the Canadian, if you are investing in the TFSA account, you should go for a VFV. But if you are investing in RRSP, then you should go for the USD one. Again, there are different there are more things like conversion fees and all that you can make your decision on. But if I were on your place, RRSP is for the USD, and the VFB, the Canadian dollars one, is for the TFSA. All right, so these two are the growth ETF. This next one is JEPI, so this is one in the USD. All right, and then we have the Hamilton one, HYLD. This is the dividend one. Remember, the JP and HYLD, focus on more on passive income. The last one is from the Horizon USCL. This is the very newest one. So, just wanted to show you, these five quickly. So, one of the thing, please be careful of that. Invest, only pick one of it. Don't, over don't do too much overlapping in your portfolio. So either buy USCL or HYLD. You can pick one. You can go to the website, read each and everything. Just pick one. I'll be showing you in the end which one I have. All right. So this is the first one, the S&P 500. Uh, I'll show you in the end what I have in my portfolio. But three ETF in the dividend side and two are in the growth. All right. Let's move over to the next one. All right, let's move over to the second one. So second one is the second famous index, Nasdaq 100. So the first one take a little bit of time, but this won't take. Now you have understand the format of the video. So what is Nasdaq 100? It's the 100 largest domestic and international known financial companies. So basically, Nasdaq 100 always have more exposure in tech companies. So I think this index have more than 50% of its exposure to tech companies in their portfolio. And one of the interesting thing of this index, this is the only index which beat S&P 500 though. But remember one thing. So now you will think, if this index has really performed well by S&P 500, then why would I say the S&P 500 is the number one? It's because Nasdaq 100 come with the risk, because it has 50% exposure to tech companies. Whenever like any crash happens, if S&P 500 drop like 20%, this will drop more like 30 to 40%. So the risk is higher, but this is another great one. So again, I have divided the two categories. The first one is the income. If you really like the income, then we have QQCC, the JEPQ. So one is in the USD and one is in the Canadian. And for the growth, these are to the best according to me, HXQ and Triple Q in the USD one. All right, let me quickly show you the websites, and then we'll jump over to the next one. So this is the first growth one, QQQ in the USD. So this is one of the very interesting, I want to show you analytic, like growth of 10,000 over last 10 years. So as you can see, it's almost have double up the money. So it's a great pick, but mostly, people have their portfolio. Most of the investors have the portfolio higher weightage in S&P 500 because of its history, you know. So this is another great one. So the first one was QQQ, and the second one is HXQ. If you really want to buy in the Canadian version, one of the just a heads up, this ETF does not give any dividend. It reinvests dividend in the ETF itself. So just to give you a heads up. If you're really looking for the income for the Nasdaq 100, we have QQCC, and for the USD one, we have JEPQ. From the JP Morgan, same if for the S&P 500, we have JP, and this is the JEPQ one. So this was our the second best index Nasdaq 100. All right, the next one is Dow Jones 100. So what is this index is? Basically, what this index does, it focused on the dividend companies. The companies which pay consistent dividend, and it's consistently growing the dividend. So the other two indexes style was different. It was like top 500 companies. One was more focused on like largest 500 companies, which is the S&P 500. The second one is more focused on growth. It is has more exposure to tech companies. The third one more focused on dividend. So like this is the one of the best thing when you building your portfolio, you should have your eggs in all the buckets. So if one of the index get a hit, you're not getting hit to all the buckets, right? So that's why it's very important to diversify your portfolio. All right, now within the this, again, all these three ETFs does not follow Dow Jones 100, just to give you a heads up, but all these three ETFs are the top ETFs which have the top companies which pay consistent dividend and growth. So growth plus dividend. Okay, so in this one, I don't have any ETF which pay income, which is for passive income. I only know the growth one. Let me know in the comment section if anyone knows the companies that follow Dow Jones 100. All right, so these are the three companies. The first very famous one is HCHT, the Shop US Dividend Equity. So this is the first one. The second one is the iShare one, DGRO. The third one is from the Vanguard, VYM. All right, so these three are the one. Again, like, see, I'm giving you all this option. Basically, these three are the best according to my study. I'll show you in the end, which is my pick. But I want you to do your own research, own study, which one you wanted to pick. Okay. Same goes to this one. Like, you can pick either the USD one or the Canadian one. So I'm giving you multiple option, just to pick your own one. So that's the, these are the basically ETF which focused on US companies which definitely pay consistent dividend growth. So that's the third one, Dow Jones 100. All right, so let's move into a little bit of different direction, because so far we were covering only the US market, like US dividend, US tech, US overall growth. So let's focus, let's move into a little bit of different direction into Canadian stock market index. So basically, what is this 4 ETF does? It tracks the Canadian stock market index. So these two, the first one is the dividend one, totally focus on dividend companies, the XEI and the VDY. The XIU is focused on top 60 companies, whether it's a growth or index, and the XIC is the total Canadian stock market index. So if you compare the performance of all four, is very much nearby, and then I'll show you which I pick. But these are the different ETFs for dividend and growth. So it's really important, we not only we invest in different sector but different countries as well. So now we are focusing in Canada. All right, so these are the four ETFs I was talking about. So let's start from the first one. So this pay the monthly dividend XEI. Okay, mostly focused on dividend income. The second one is VDY. This is also focused on high dividend. These both pay monthly dividend. Okay. The next one, the XIU, as I said, it focused on the top 60 companies in Canada. This pay dividend quarterly. All right. So you can, I'm not gonna go into each and every ETF. It's gonna take so much of time. You can go ahead, but in the end, I'll show you which one I think is best. Then you can make your own decision. And the last one is XIC on the entire Canadian stock market, and this is also paid the quarterly. So that's why like this is one of the big difference you're gonna find between dividend and growth style ETFs. The dividend style most likely most of the time always pay you monthly dividend income, whereas the growth one will pay you in the quarterly, like after every 3 months. Same goes here. These three pay you quarterly dividend income. This one also quarterly, monthly, and same goes to here. These three pay you the monthly income, and these two pay you the quarterly one. So far we have covered four: the S&P 500, Nasdaq 100, the Dow Jones 100, and the S&P TSX Canadian Stock Market Index. So these four are the main, but we still have only 3 and 4 left, which I still want to cover. All right, so let's move forward again. All right. So moving over to the next one. So first, so far we have covered the North America, which is like US and Canada, one of the biggest, the GDP. So two we have covered. Now we have to move over to the global market. So you can see, like how we are covering the each and every market and sector. So this is very important. So these two are the ETF are my favorite, the VEE and VIU. I'll explain you what are in this ETF in a moment. But I don't know any ETFs that pay like income, like dividends income. So this is more focused on growth. Even it does pay dividend though. But these are not, these are focused on growth, not on the dividend income. So these are the two my favorite from global market one. So these are from Vanguard, but like BlackRock also provide two ETFs similar like that. BMO also gave that you can pick on, but I'm just picking the Vanguard because I like it. All right, so let me show you quickly, the this point. So those were focusing on Canada and the US. This is on the international. The first one is VI. So these ETFs mostly covered in like Europe. So if you see the region wise, Europe have the 60% of the fund allocated to this ETF. So if I show you the top companies, this is the sector wise, the industrial is like up to 19%. So these are all the companies, as you can see, the Nestle, Samsung, so and so on, Shell, Toyota. So these are the international companies. No more US and Canada. So this is one of the ETF, we making sure we have exposure to international market. The second one is VEE. What this ETF does, it provide more exposure to emerging markets, which is like Asia, such as China and India. So if I show you down here, so you will see some of the big companies named like Tencent, Taiwan Semiconductor, Alibaba, Reliance Industries, HDFC Bank. So these are some of the big companies, in Asia. So this is ETF will give you exposure to emerging market. Very, very important to have the global exposure to your portfolio. So five are done. I think we are almost left with three more individual sectors. So we have completed with index style funding. Now we're gonna focus on individual sectors. All right, so let's get started with our individual sector number one, which is very popular, my favorite, the technology sector. We all know, how much technology is playing role today in this era. So we really need to have this technology ETFs to get that gains from the portfolio. So these are the four ETFs are my favorite when it comes to technology. The HTA, the global tech companies, XIT, the Canadian tech companies, and this is the Apple shares, and this is the Tesla one. So these are the four. Let me show you in a little bit of details. So if I show you the XIT, the first one is from the iShare, the BlackRock. If I show you the holding, you're gonna be really surprising. It's gonna be very interesting. The top holding is the Shopify, almost 26%, and the second one is the Constellation Software, which is about 25%. So these two are the really great companies when it comes to technology in Canada. So and one of the fun fact, this ETF has given a very strong it's a very strong competitor to Nasdaq 100. So I really love it. The second one is HTA. So this ETF track the top global market technology companies for growth and income ETF. So this ETF does not provide you any dividend, but this provide you good yield of like 7% though, and the growth is also like awesome. So let me show you the companies in this ETF you're gonna love as well. So the companies you're gonna see like Adobe, ServiceNow, Alphabet, Apple, like all these companies are great because I work in the IT field and I really know this how these good companies are. We really need all this software and technology. Without that, we can't survive. So amazing ETF from Harvest. All right, we're left with the two one. The third one is the Tesla ETF. So this ETF only hold the Tesla shares. A great one with the incredible yield of 16%. So I really believe in Tesla company. That's why I hold it. This is the two of the ETF which I have. the single company investment only. The second one is the Apple. Again, I have almost like 6 7 products at home, so why not of Apple? This give you the distribution yield of 7.28%. So when it comes to technology, guys, as you can see, I'm covering the whole market. Like Tesla and Apple are my favorite. XIT covered the Canadian technology companies, and the HTA covered the global company, focused more mainly on US. So this is the sector, our number one. All right, the second last one is the real estate. So this is one of the sector which really diversify, our portfolio, because the other indexes I show you, their real estate exposure is very low. So it's very important to have some ETFs of real estate as well. So in this one, I have both actually. The dividend one, if you really like dividends or you want to have more growth and plus dividend. So the RS is from the dividend, the ZRE, VRE, XRE from the growth. BMO, Vanguard, and the BlackRock. So let me show you all four ETF. So this is the RS from the middle field. If you really love, the passive income, the dividend income, you can have this ETF which contain multiple rates. So if you go down here, like you will see all the rates are here. And same goes to if you really like growth plus income, then you can go for this one. This also give you like around 5% of yield. The first one give you around like 10 to 11%. So this one also, if you go to holding, ZRE, the BMO one, it contains all the rates that are available. It really diversify your portfolio. You don't have to do much research about one of the rate. So that's the real estate, and again, very similar with the BlackRock one, Vanguard. You can do your own research and pick the one you like. So that's the real estate one, the RS, the ZRE, VRE, XRE. All right, we are just left with the last one, guys, the cash. So I gave you the both option, one in the USD dollar or one in the Canadian dollar. So it's a really important to have a cash ETF in your portfolio as well. And the one of the reason, sometime we don't have a cash in hand, and there's a really good discount going on in the market. Like for example, tomorrow on Monday, the S&P 500 is 5% down. Like that's amazing, amazing discount. You really want to buy at that time. So what you does, you sell the cash and you buy that discount. And what is the great thing about cash? This share price remain very similar, and it give you 5% of yield monthly. So let me show you these ETFs in the website here. All right, so the first one is the cash, the ticker name cash from the horizon. Actually, the sector is a cash and the ETF name is also cash. So as you can see, one of the interesting thing I like to show you, like look at the performance of NAV. It's a consistent though. Like look at that. So start of the month, it start with a $50 .01 cent, and by the end of the month it goes to 520 and then drops again. So the price remains same between 50.1 to 50.20, and it gives you 5% of the yield. So this is where like you where you can have your fixed money without worrying about the market crashes and all that. But it's good idea to have a little bit of money in here as well. You can buy this big discount. Like this is my reason. That's why I have the money in cash, so I can get those big discount. But some people hold their money in the cash, because they want to have very very low risk profile. So, and if you see the holding, like it just holds the some of the big banks cash account. That's where they get money from, and they just charge us the maintenance fees of 0.10%. So this is the cash number one from horizon. The second one is from the purpose, the ticker name PSU. So this is another one, very similar, no difference. The companies are different, but other than this, no difference. If you really want to buy in the USD, then we have the JP Morgan one, JPSD. By the way, we also have the USD version in PSU or in the cash. Okay, So whichever the company you like, you can buy that. With that, we have completed our all the sectors and all the individual sector and all the indexes as well. So we started from, again, just to recap, it's very important to recap the video. So we started from here, with the beginning. Then we covered the S&P 500. Remember, 500 largest company in the US, Nasdaq 100, more focused on growth on the tech companies, Dow Jones 100, more focused on the stability of dividend and the growth of dividends. The second one, the fourth one was the Canadian stock market, a little bit different from the US. Then we went into global market where you can buy Europe or Asia companies. Then we move over to the technology sector where we buy some of the Canadian tech, the global tech, Apple and Tesla. Then real estate sector, and then the cash. And here is come my favorite part of the video. All right, let me move a little bit back. I want you to see this whole picture. So this is how my goal is to have my portfolio. All right, you can do your own research and then you can come up with a conclusion how much weightage you want to give. But this is my target, how I want to do. I'm very close to my target basically, but I still want to fulfill this target. So starting with S&P 500, you know I want to cover the I want to have the 25% of weightage in my portfolio, and I have both of these ETFs, the VFP for growth and the USCL for the income. When it comes to S&P TSX, I want to have the 15% weightage, and this is the ETF. Only ETF I have XEI when it comes to Canadian market. The Nasdaq 100. This is the only ETF I have HXU, and I want to have the 15% weightage in it. The global market, I just want to have the weightage of 10%, and then these both ETFs I have, the one I showed you, VIU and VE. I want to buy some Europe ETFs as well and some international like Asia and uh, the China and India market as well. The fifth one is Dow Jones 100. I'm putting the 10% of weightage, and this is the only ETF I have in my portfolio, the HCHD. And the technology one, 10% weightage, HTA, XIT, HPLY, YTSL. And then real estate, I just want to have the 8% of exposure to real estate, having both of these ETF in my portfolio, ZRE and RS. And then lastly, oh, can you see the T? There you go. So lastly, in the cash, I want to have this 7% of cash in my portfolio to buy those big discount. I have the cash in the Canadian dollar and JPST in the USD dollar. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think of this breakdown, and if you were me, what is the weightage you will be having? So this is the really nice picture, for all the beginner investors. So like a lot of people say, go to Quest Trade, well simple, and then start doing investing. But when you're really new, it's really difficult for you to understand how to, what type of stocks to buy. So for me, I don't like individual stocks, and I'm gonna make a separate video on that. I just invest only in ETFs though. So here you go, my portfolio. Yet. So if you really want to see my portfolio, that what kind of ETFs I had, how my portfolio looks like, you can go ahead and watch this video. I have every month I reveal my portfolio performance, monthly income, everything in detail. So go ahead and watch this video. It's gonna really helpful to you. And if you really want to understand, what is the TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA count, go ahead and watch this video. And if you really want to understand like investing for beginners, how to start investing, go ahead and watch this video. So just want to cover this reminder. If you're still with me, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you next time with another great video. Till the time, take care. Bye bye.
Hanging from the yard.